Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today, we're going to go into the book of Matthew, the 8th chapter. When he was come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him. And behold, there came a leper and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. And Yahushua put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Yahushua saith unto him, See thou tell no man, but go thy way, shew thyself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded for a testimony unto them. Right? That is the offering, the cleansing offering, right? The offering upon your cleansing when you were a leper, right? And your leprosy was healed. There was a certain offering you had to offer. And when Yahushua was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion, beseeching him. And this centurion was an Israelite, but he was, in the Roman army. Okay. And so, there were a lot of different professions that Israel frowned upon, right? Like publicans, tax collectors, even those in the Roman army, because you had some that would use that to do certain unlawful things, right? Or even abuse, Israelites, even though they themselves were Israelites. But so the centurion comes and begs him, right? And saying, Lord, my servant lieth at home, sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And let's go into that word palsy here. I believe it's some form of paralysis. Yeah, paralytic, suffering from the relaxing of nerves on one side, disabled, weak of limb. So some similarly related issue. And Yahushua saith unto him, I will come and heal him. And the centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me, and I say to this man, Go, and he goeth, and to another, Come, and he cometh, and to my servant, Do this, and he doeth it. And the point that the centurion was making here is that, I understand how authority works. Authority is not by proximity, but by command. And so he's saying here, I don't need to be with my soldiers. I just need to give them the word and they'll do it, right? I just give my servant the word and he does it. And this centurion understood the authority that the Lord had, which is to say, Lord, you don't even need to be there. You just give the word. And just as I'm able to command soldiers or servants and they do things, you can command anything. You can command the sickness and it'll go away. And he believed that, right? When Yahushua heard it, he marveled and said to them that followed, Verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. And he was referring to the region where he was at, because I believe it mentioned he was in Capernaum, right? And I think that's one of the cities that he also upbraided for their lack of belief. So there weren't really much heavy believers in there. And that's why he said that. And I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. And these are Israelites, right? That were in a Gentile state of mind, or would be scattered in the four corners of the earth. They would be gathered, and brought and inherit the kingdom. As to where, right? But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darkness, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So you would have some that they would know they were Israelites, right? But due to their unbelief or stumbling at Yahushua and not believing in him, they would not make it, right, to enter the kingdom, right? They wouldn't gain salvation. They would come again through the reincarnation, but to make it on those ships or to be delivered, they wouldn't have that. And it's a similar concept the Apostle Paul mentions, I believe, in Romans the 11th chapter, about how through their fall, salvation has been open to many, right? Referring to the Israelite foreigners. It says, there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, right? Because when that time comes and they don't gain that salvation, it's going to be a painful thing, right? People are going to be wailing, and, it's going to be a sad time for them. And Yahushua said unto the centurion, go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the self same hour. And when Yahushua came to Peter's house, he saw his wife's mother laid, which is his mother-in-law. So she was like lying down and sick of a fever. And he touched her hand, and the fever left her. And she arose and ministered unto them. That is, she served them. Like to, give them food or, whatever they needed. When the even was come, they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils, and he cast out the spirits with his word, and healed all that were sick, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, himself took our infirmities and bare our sicknesses. Now when Yahushua saw great multitudes about him, he gave commandment to depart onto the other side. That is, the other side of the lake, right, the river. Because remember, in Capernaum, it was on the other side, right, of Galilee, the northwest. So there was this body of water right there in the center. And when the even was come, they brought unto him. Oh, did I read that already? Yep, I did. Salakia, verse 19. And a certain scribe came and said unto him, Master, I will follow thee whithersoever thou goest. And Yahushua said unto him, the foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. And he said this to break expectations, or to manage expectations, to let this scribe know that, look, you gotta know what it is you'd be getting into. Your life is different than mine. You're a scribe, right? You probably live in a nice house. You're good. You have all of that. Over here, it's rough. Okay. Yahushua was constantly on the move, going from one area to another. He wasn't like going out and then come back home, right, and then sleep and then wake up at like 10 a.m. No, sometimes he'd be out in the early mornings and the a.m.s, right, preaching for hours, going from one area to another. Sometimes going days without eating. So it wasn't a comfortable kind of lifestyle he was living, and that's the point he was making to describe here. And another of his disciples said unto him, Lord, suffer me to go and to first go and bury my father. But Yahushua said unto him, follow me, and let the dead bury their dead. Meaning, let those that are spiritually dead bury their physical dead. You have bigger responsibilities. And when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him. And behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, insomuch that the ship was covered with the waves, but he was asleep. So it looked like the ship was going to sink. It was so much water getting in. And his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us, we perish. And he saith unto them, why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? What's there to fear? What you think? I'm going to be on the ship here with y'all, and that, does that make sense to you? The Most High would set all this. They set all this up. Send the Messiah to come and be with you, just so we can all die on a boat in the water somewhere. And then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. But the men marveled, saying, what manner is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? Their eyes blinking, their jaws dropped. They're like, yo, looking at each other like, nah. They probably got scared. And when he was come to the other side into the country of the Gergesenes, there met him two possessed with devils, coming out of the tombs, exceeding fierce, so that no man might pass by that way. So they had a lot of demons on them, but you can see their look was like very intense, and so scary that nobody wanted to go by that way. And behold, they cried out, saying, What have we to do with thee, Yahushai, thou Son of God? Art thou come hither to torment us before the time? Because remember that the demons have their reign, they have their free reign now, but soon enough, right, they're not going to have that that free dominion. Okay, so obviously in the kingdom, they wouldn't be able to run around rampantly as they are now. Why do you think the world is in such a disarray? Everybody got demons on them nowadays. But as they were saying here, the Lord, continuing on in verse 30, and there was a good way off from them and herd of many swine feeding, right? So you had the pigs being fed not too far from them. So the devils besought him, saying, if thou cast us out, suffer us to go away into the herd of swine. So if you're gonna exercise us out of these people here, then at least let us go into the pigs over there to have like some host. And he said unto them, Go. And they went, and when they came out of those two people, they went into the herd of swine. And behold, the whole herd of swine ran violently down a steep place into the sea and perished in the waters. Them pigs were like, hell no. Yeah. Nope. They started squealing and shit. He said, hell no, I'm all right. I'd rather die than to have you on me. And and they that kept them fled. So those that were like in charge of watching over the pigs, they ran, they booked it. They were like, oh shit. And went their ways into the city and told everything and what was befallen to the possessed of the devils. And behold, the whole city came out to meet Yahushai. And when they saw him, they besought him that he would depart out of their coast. They said, no, please, you got to go. You got to go. We don't want any of this over here. We don't want none of that. And that brings us to the end of the book of Matthew, the 8th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodesh. And until next time, Shalom.